So it's been 6 weeks and 7 phases of voting, and this is the world's largest democratic exercise anywhere in the world. I mean, come to think of it, you had 100 crore eligible voters, of which almost about 65 crore people have cast their vote. This is something that does not happen in any other country anywhere in the world, and this is what we've witnessed here.
Absolutely, Saleh. India will finally find out the results today. The world's eyes will be on who will govern the fastest growing economy in the world for the next 5 years.
And the Election Commission of India will, of course, start the counting process of the hundreds of millions of votes from 8 o'clock this morning. That's in about 55 minutes from now.
Tight security is in place. The results of the country's 18th Lok Sabha elections to be announced today. The country's Prime Minister Narendra Modi's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party is seeking to extend its decade in power by another 5 years.
And that's going to be very interesting. Narendra Modi has been the Prime Minister for the last 10 years. Will the people of India want him as the Prime Minister for another 5 more years? That's going to be a big question. Because at this moment, as things stand, it's difficult to see as to how the political landscape of India will change. But this is a crucial election precisely for that reason. Now, the opposition is, of course, hoping to defy the exit poll numbers, and it is seeking to pull off some kind of a surprise.
Absolutely, Saleh. Let's just take a look at some of the hot seats in focus and as well as the big names contesting in these constituencies as well.
$543 constituencies, over 612 million voters, a raging heat wave, and 7 phases later, India is hours away from its election mandate. Exit polls have placed their bets and made their predictions. Here are some of the hot seats that will be in the spotlight for voters and parties alike. In Maharashtra, the state's political landscape has made headlines for months ahead of the election. On the Baramati seat, National Congress Party SP candidate and sitting Member of Parliament Supriya Sule took up a direct fight with her sister-in-law Sunetra Pawar. In the Hindi heartland state of Madhya Pradesh, Congress leader and son of former Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Kamalnath Nakulnath contested from his family stronghold in Chhindwara Lok Sabha seat against BJP's Vivek Sahu. Amid celebrity faces is Bollywood actor turned politician Kangana Ranaut, who made her electoral debut in the current elections from the Mandi constituency in Himachal Pradesh. Ranaut is contesting against royal family scion Vikramaditya Singh. Down south, Thiruvananthapuram witnessed an intense battle between Union Minister and BJP candidate Rajiv Chandrasekhar and senior Congress leader and sitting MP Shashi Tharoor. In West Bengal's Baharampur seat, the political battle is between Trinamool Congress's Yusuf Pathan and Congress Party's Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who has represented since 2009. Another hot seat on the cards is the Saran constituency in Bihar, where two-time MP and BJP candidate Rajiv Pratap Rudy is contesting against RJD's Rohini Acharya, who is the daughter of party chief Lalu Prasad Yadav. The constituency of Wayanad also witnessed a battle between Congress leader Rahul Gandhi and BJP's K. Surendran. Lastly, the Hyderabad seat saw a high-octane battle between sitting MP Asaduddin Owaisi and BJP's firebrand leader Madhavi Lata. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
And of course, there's lots to discuss here, for which we are being joined on the show by the Libertarian Political Campaign Advisor from New Delhi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Now, Mr. Cherian, this is a crucial bit of a moment in India's politics. Now, the Bharatiya Janata Party, under the leadership of Narendra Modi, is gunning for a 3rd straight term. We have seen what the exit pollsters are predicting here. Are you convinced by the numbers that are being put out by the pollsters that this is what the Bharatiya Janata Party is likely to win?
In general, exit polls tend to give you a direction of thought. And I think that the fact that most of them are headed in the same direction indicates that the NDA combination is headed for a big victory. That's what the figures look like. I think for me, the more important thing is that the polls have gone off with a lack of violence. That is something that we always worry about in India. Because by tradition, India has had a phenomenal record of actually allowing the peaceful transition of power if change does happen. So I think that the fact that we've had a violence-free election is something that is remarkable for an election that has been fought so hard, despite the fact that the exit polls are pointing all in one direction.
All right. Now, Mr. Cherian, one of the things that a lot of people are going to be asking about is, Narendra Modi has been in power for the last 10 years, but he is witnessing no kind of anti-incumbency to speak of. What do you think is happening here? How can a leader be the Prime Minister for 10 years and not witness anti-incumbency?
I think that the biggest reason for Mr. Modi not facing the kind of anti-incumbency that regular leaders face at the end of 10 years is the fact that here is a man who's constantly reinventing himself. The platforms on which he has stood each time have been different, and that makes him, in many senses, a new entrant each time he goes into the election field. That's one. The second is, I don't think and I don't know of any leader who has been able to fight as relentlessly and as continuously as Mr. Modi, averaging between 5 and 6 meetings a day during this scorching heat. And despite the fact that he has to travel millions of miles, he has not flagged even for a day. Right. And this is a remarkable achievement in terms of campaigning with himself in the front. So that means that if there is any anti-incumbency, it obviously gets diluted by the sheer effort, the grit, and the perseverance.
All right, sir, you also mentioned earlier how exit polls are they are a gauge of the direction of thought here. On that note, I wanted to understand, as per you, what will be the big story? Where will that come for? Exit polls suggest that BJP is tipped to garner substantial seats from the south. What's your take on this?
I'm not seeing that trend actually, and I've seen exit polls which haven't been on television say a different story. So I'm not seeing that story change very substantially, and that certainly is not going to be the big story of this election. In my view, the big story of this election is going to be the gradual tapering off of the importance of physical meetings and traditional media, and the fact that social media, especially YouTube, has played such an important role in this election.
Absolutely, indeed, Mr. Cherian. Do continue to stay on with us now. This is going to be something that's going to be talked about for a very long time in terms of how the Bharatiya Janata Party has led a campaign with which they're not feeling anti-incumbency. But the opposition disagrees with that. Right. The opposition says that forget these exit poll numbers. These are all put out by people with certain interests. They are saying that they will win 295 seats. And it'll be very interesting to see as to which way that goes. And also joining us in our studio at this moment, we've got Mr. R.K. Upadhyay, who's a senior journalist who's been watching Indian politics very, very closely. Good morning to you, Mr. Upadhyay. How are you feeling this morning about the political situation as it stands?
Well, I think it's going to be most exciting day for all of us. Probably we'll get to have some idea of how the things are moving by about 10 o'clock. That's what I expect. Well, I think looking at what the exit polls have said, around 10 exit polls were conducted, and without an exception, all of them have given a clear majority to the Prime Minister-led NDA government. So that looks to be a mean average of 357.
Right.
Whereas the required numbers for a majority is 272. And on the other hand, you find the INDIA alliance, which is a conglomerate of about 28 parties, which came together just about a year before the elections were announced. And unfortunately, they couldn't get their act together. And the number shows that they're getting a mean average of 147, which is nowhere near the majority that's required. So it is obvious the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, if these figures hold good, is poised for a third consecutive term and is going to do a hat-trick.